The Fabulous Five to the Final Four. Those were the great freshmen of the 91-92 season. Let's take a look at some of the fabulous freshmen of the 92-93 season. Jason Kidd and Othello Harrington of California and Georgetown, respectively. Bob Elliott, head and shoulders over the rest of this freshman class, wouldn't you say?
You've got Kidd, who plays the point, and you've got Harrington, who plays the center. And that's the way it is about basketball. Great little guy, great big guy.
Jason Kidd is already turning heads with his passing ability in the Pac-10 so far.
Oh, he sees the floor like he has 4 sets of eyes going all around his head at all times.
Elsewhere, Corliss Williamson, Johnny Rhodes at Maryland, and Roderick Rhodes in Kentucky, and Carlos Strong, who is just that, the 6'8 forward out of Georgia. Now, at the end of this season, the conclusion of the 92-93 season, there's been a lot of talk about the 5 sophomores for Michigan. How many will try to go out early into the NBA? And why would they go out? Well, it's pretty easy to understand. Even maybe Mashburn at Kentucky. The money. Let's face it. Let's face it.
You know, Don, how can you tell a kid to not go after this type of money? It just doesn't make sense, especially in a time now where our economy the way it is. These guys go to school and they can come out and make this kind of money on 6-year contracts. So you take that 3 times 6, you're talking 18 million plus, you're talking 15 million. How can you honestly tell somebody don't take the money?
These are the people that went out. What do you think about this year? Who will go out? We've heard a lot about Chris Webber this week here in Honolulu.
I tell you, my own personal opinion is Chris Webber should come out. He knows that he's going to be no less than a top 3 in the pick and the draft. There's no way he cannot go for $2 million, $3 million, and who knows what the pot may be next year. And that's at the worst. You know, I'm a conservative person. You know, I'm an accountant by trade.
He's an accountant. That's right.
But this guy's going to be a top 3. The only way I would tell a kid to come out for the draft is if he knows that he's going to be no less than a number 3 in the first round. Because things change after all of a sudden you put your name into the hat. Maybe you might slip like a Harold Miner did this past year. He went from maybe a top 3 or 4, all of a sudden it becomes number 12.
Right.
But if you know you're a top 3 person, you might be 1, might be 2, might be 3, but you know you're not going to slip all the way down to 10 or 12.
You're becoming even more conservative. You used to say don't come out early unless you at least will be a lottery pick. But now you're saying be one of the top 1, 2, or 3.
Because you have to protect yourself. Plus, the kids forget they have the upper hand. But once you submit your name into the draft, you're gone. You cannot come back.
Yeah, your history. Speaking of history, this tournament is just about done for this year. All we have is the finals coming up in just a few minutes, about 3-4 minutes between Kansas and Michigan. Let's take a look at the field for next year's Kraft Rainbow Classic. For the 93 tournament, Army will be coming in along with Clemson, Evansville out of the state of Indiana, Florida. Hawaii will again host. Denny Crum will be coming back out. Eddie Sutton in Oklahoma State, and UC Santa Barbara from the West Coast. That's something we did not have. We didn't have any teams west of the Mississippi in the tournament this year, other than Hawaii, of course.
Although, Don, I tell you what, when you talk about a field like we had this year, I mean, when I found out that we had Kansas, North Carolina, and Michigan, and Nebraska all in the top 20, now that's a field.
Let's talk about this game a little bit now. Kansas comes into the game at 9-0. They have had really 2 very tough games in their 9-game period. Yep, they defeated Indiana earlier in the year, and then they came into this tournament, really got a great draw, but they had a tough time against Jackson State in the season opener, or the tournament opener. From there, it hasn't been all that tough for them. They went on to take on Hawaii and clobbered them last night.
Well, they had a great game against Indiana, but they really haven't played a top 10 type team since. And that's why I think that they're looking forward to this matchup with Michigan, because it's a chance to prove that they are, in fact, a top 5 team. And to them, they're saying, hey, we're not a top 5. No, we're number 1.
Yeah, and the mentality with Michigan after losing to Duke, coming back, knocking off then 17th or 19th ranked Nebraska, now knocking off 5th ranked North Carolina last night. They're thinking we belong back up there at number 1, number 2 again.
Well, Michigan last year had a taste of it. They went all the way to the final game and walked away. You know, only one team gets the championship and everybody else is also ran. And therefore, Michigan knows there's only one spot that they want this year. They want the number 1 ranking. They want the whole ring. They want the pie. They want it all.
And it's not that Bob and I love visiting together on camera. It's the simple fact that we are waiting for the tip-off. The 3rd and 4th place battle between North Carolina and Hawaii ran a little bit long here in Honolulu, and we are about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes away from the actual tip-off of the game for the final. That's why we're waiting a little bit longer than normal. Let's take a look at the schedule. What's ahead for Kansas? First of all, the Jayhawks ranked number 2 for the rest of the year, or really for the month of January at least, for the first couple of weeks. Wichita State, then Iowa State as they get into Big 8 play, then at Oklahoma, then Oral Roberts, and at Louisville.
Well, that could be a tough schedule for them. That's why this Michigan game is so critical for them, because you want to get that real good test before all of a sudden you get to that conference play and it really means something.
Michigan, of course, out of the Big Ten, will go home and host Eastern Michigan, and then it's Big Ten time, and it's going to be a Donnybrook out in the Big Ten. Let's face it, with Purdue, then at Wisconsin, then hosting Indiana, and then hosting Notre Dame.
Well, you know, Purdue has that kid that sat out last year. He's played small forward, great player, and Indiana, that's going to be another battle. But then here Michigan says, hey, we just got done playing North Carolina. We're playing Kansas. We're ready for the Indianas and the Purdues and the Notre Dames.
Roy Williams will be coaching again, of course, the Kansas Jayhawks. He is now in his 5th year after 10 years as an assistant behind Dean Smith. They did not want to play each other this year, and they did not have to. And Michigan will be led, of course, by Steve Fisher in his 4th full year, 5th if you want to count the title run in the NCAA tournament back in 1989 when they went 6-0 to win it all. But in his 3 years, that team has gone to the 2 NCAA tournaments, as you see Ray Jackson, who normally would start with that dislocated left shoulder, and he will be on the bench in his street clothes tonight, Bob.
You know, one thing that I love to see always with these tournaments in Hawaii, you know, coaches usually on the mainland, they have the ties, the coats, they look so dapper. Here it's like, hey, bring out the short sleeve shirts, let's relax a little bit. But inside, you know, they're fuming, they're going crazy.
Ray will not play, and Jalen Rose, he will play, but keep an eye on that arm of his that he may have fractured when he fell off the side of the court and injured his elbow slightly. Kansas against Michigan. Michigan owns this series. They have played, well, it goes way back, 1949, then 1980, 82, and then in 1985 when Michigan defeated Kansas at Ann Arbor by the score of 96-77. So this will be the 5th meeting between Michigan and Kansas out of the Big 8. Adonis Jordan and Rex Walters, the guards for Kansas, considered to be maybe the best backcourt in the country. We'll find out as they go against Jalen Rose, Jimmy King, and we get word that Rob Pelinka will be starting for the injured Ray Jackson for Michigan. A sellout crowd of better than 7,000 people here at Blaisdell Arena as we get down to the climax of this entire 4-day tournament with 8 teams. For the last 10 years, a man by the name of Keenan Gu has been the PA announcer here for University of Hawaii Rainbow basketball games and football games out at the stadium. He again has the starting lineups for this, the championship game between Michigan and Kansas.
Good evening, basketball fans, and welcome to the Blaisdell Center Arena for the final game in the 29th annual Kraft Rainbow Classic. Tonight's championship game features the Wolverines from the University of Michigan against the Jayhawks from the University of Kansas. Here is your starting lineup. For Michigan at forward, a 6'6" senior, number 3, Rob Pelinka. For Kansas at forward, a 6'7" junior, number 34, Richard Scott. For Michigan at forward, a 6'9" sophomore, number 4, Chris Webber. For Kansas at forward, a 6'7" junior, number 32, Darren Hancock. For Michigan at center, a 6'9" sophomore, number 25, Juwan Howard. For Kansas at center, a 6'10" senior, number 51, Eric Pauley. For Michigan at guard, a 6'5" sophomore, number 24, Jimmy King. For Kansas at guard, a 5'11" senior, number 30, Adonis Jordan. For Michigan at guard, a 6'8" sophomore, number 5, Jalen Rose. And for the Jayhawks, at guard, a 6'4" senior, number 23, Rex Walters. The head coach for Michigan, Steve Fisher, host Chuck Jenkins. The head coach for Kansas, Roy Williams, host Jeff Portnoy.
42-year-old Roy Williams in his 5th year at Kansas, taking over for Larry Brown. Of course, went to the Final Four in '91. And Steve Fisher in his 4th full year. with a record of 76-33 as Kansas gets ready with that 9-0 record. One solid victory to their credit, that one against Indiana.
You know, Don, as we take a look at the starting lineups, I talked about the sports psychology and the mind games that Michigan plays. If you notice, when they were introducing the players, some of the Michigan players would not go and touch the Kansas players. A lot of times in the mind games, it's not what you say, but sometimes you can make a statement by not saying anything and a little body motion.
Actions speak louder than words. An old cliche, but appropriate at this time anyway. Out of the Big Ten, Michigan. Out of the Big 8, Kansas. The officials for tonight's game out of the WAC conference is David Hall. From the Big Ten is Ed Hightower. And then an independent referee out of Rochester, New York by the name of Merv Shapiro. They will be the three trying to hold on. We had an incredible basketball game last night between Michigan and North Carolina. It really makes me wonder if Michigan has much left in the tank. As much as the adrenaline will flow to play the #2 team in the country, they have to be tired.
Well, you know, you can feel it here. There's Jalen Rose. Notice he doesn't have any kind of advantage on that left arm. But let's keep tabs on to see if he's having problems shooting or, more importantly, handling the ball against Adonis Jordan.
Chris Webber will be jumping against Richard Scott, the junior out of Little Rock, Arkansas, for Kansas. Up and away we go. Jalen Rose at the point. Quickly goes down to King, and Webber against Eric Polley. That will be an interesting matchup, to say the least. King. And Howard. He has Scott on him. Scott with foul trouble last night. Sat out much of the first half. Howard gets away from Scott and the easy two.
Chris Webber showed how versatile he is. It was his lead pass in that sent Howard to the middle where no one was. Excellent pass by Chris Webber. Way to convert it by Juwan Howard.
Man-to-man defense. Here's the junior college player of the year, Aaron Hancock. Inside, Scott off the glass. No, Webber with a rebound. Webber coming off a great game with 27 points, 8 boards against the Tar Heels. Polinka Rob starting for the injured Ray Jackson. Ball knocked loose. It'll stay on that end. Last touch by Scott.
Michigan's big men have to watch that. When you get the ball in the post against Kansas, they will double and triple down on you. You cannot bring the ball down into their level. Either kick the ball back out immediately and then post up again, or make a quick move. But time is of the essence.
Posting up again is Howard. Out a bit. 2 for 3 last night. Misses his first tonight. That's Chris Webber with Polinka with a great offensive board. This time they'll post up against Polley. And gets the foul. Let's see who it goes on. Will it be on Polley or Hancock?
There's your quick move in the post. Chris Webber have it. Quick dribble, spin to the middle, and go up strong. Watch, he gets it. Watch, one quick dribble, spin. But see, by that time, the double down was too late. He'd already started his offensive move. Now he goes to the line to shoot two.
And they give the foul to Hancock. Darren Hancock, the junior out of Griffin, Georgia. As I said earlier, the JC National Player of the Year. And Chris Webber coming off a terrific performance against the Tar Heels. 27 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. The night before, 20 points, 12 rebounds against the Cornhuskers of Nebraska.
If there's a major flaw in Chris Webber's game, it's his free throw shooting. He's shooting less than 6% from the line, which is atrocious for a big man. There, he missed 2 there.
Scott with a board. Yeah, he's barely over 50% from the line.
Your big guys who play center net should be around 70 at the minimum, maybe even 75%.
That's Kansas basketball right there. They try to go inside to Polley. He pops it out, feeling the pressure.
And see, Rex Walters needed that. He has not been shooting the ball well lately. For him to hit that first shot out the blocks, let's see if he tries to up the next one.
King's shot not there. Walters with a rebound, looks down court. Tough pass to Hancock. Up against Polinka. Foul back at the foul line. Shot doesn't count, doesn't go.
You saw the athleticism of Darren Hancock. He had the ball on the run, and watch him as he catches it. He's going to go to a quick crossover dribble. Boom, right there. Now at this point, he's already made the commitment to the basket. He knows he has Rob Polinka where he wants him.
Steve Fisher wanted traveling on the crossover move, but it didn't happen. One team foul on each team. Walters hit his last three-pointer. Adonis Jordan, extremely quick feet. Going against King. Polley, good pass. Scott. No, can't buy it, but he is fouled by Howard.
Nice high-low action from Kansas. Down low for Scott. Scott's going to make the cut across the lane, and Juwan Howard, who's playing behind his man, is a dead duck. You cannot play behind your man in the post. These players have so many offensive moves. If you play behind a guy, you might as well just pack it in and say you're going down to the other end of the floor.
It's an adventure when Scott goes to the foul line, much like Weber. He's down around the 40% mark coming into the tournament. In fact, against Jackson State, he hit only 3 of 9.
You know, when you're shooting free throws, you don't want to have too much motion. So he's standing there, watch his arm. He left it up there, but he just doesn't have the follow through. It's not like playing golf. You know, you want to have that same swing, that same stroke every time.
Minimize mistakes, minimize the movement. What a move by Jalen Rose with the left hand.
I think Jalen's left arm is fine.
Yeah. He hit his elbow pretty darn hard on one of our TV monitors, falling out of bounds last night. The shot by Scott for Kansas.
See, Scott knows that Howard's playing behind him. At that point, Scott said, hey, bring it to me all night long, because if he's going to play behind me, I own him.
Weber bringing Pauly way outside. Got a foul underneath, evidently on Walters. Let's go back to Rose.
This is the type of move that makes a pro Scott drool. He's going to his right. He has Adonis Jordan, spins away from him to the free area, lets it go up in the air. Because remember, Rose is about 6'8", Jordan's about 6 feet. He has an 8-inch difference.
Howard short. Jordan with the rebound, the point guard for Kansas, and here come the Jayhawks. They have a 1-point lead in the early going first half. This is his shot, but Hancock right there waiting for it. King checking him. Pelinka checking Walters. Inside Pauly going against Howard off the glass. Howard and Weber, but Weber a little too late.
The help out was a little late down low. The big guys from Michigan like to go for the shot block instead of playing the good position defense.
Pauly coming off a career-tying high of 23 points against Hawaii last night. Also had 5 rebounds.
You see the defensive intensity by Kansas. They pick you up all over the floor.
Howard against Scott. Yes. It's still a 1-point game as Howard comes off a 9-point, 7-rebound game against North Carolina, but he had 6 turnovers.
Don, it looks like it's going to be another one of those toe-to-toe.
Oh, yeah.
Battle it out.
Power against power. Pauly, there's the first rejection of the night for Weber. Good outlet to Rose. Let's see if they try to push it in. Whoa! Almost hit both hands on the ball.
So that was the fault of the player in front of him. Rose was sitting there. He had 2 guys side by side of him. If you're not dribbling the ball, run in front of him. Get out in front of the floor. You can get an easy layup on something like that.
The foul on Pauly. Eric is a senior out of Buena Park, California. One of 3 starters for Roy Williams from the state of California. Howard sits down for Michigan as Roy Williams will try to get the first ever victory for Kansas over Michigan. 4-0 Wolverines in a series that started back in the 40s. Weber finds the opening, no, but does draw the foul. That will be a second quick one on Eric Pauly.
You know, Chris Weber, when he gets the ball in the post, he either kicks it out right away, which forces the guards to get away from him on a double team, or he makes the quick, strong move to the basket. You see Steve Fisher there talking to Juwan Howard. He's telling him, if you leave the guy alone, he's going to hook you down low. Defensively, Howard is hurting them right now, and that's why they bring him out to talk to him about his relationship with Scott.
And Kansas is in a predicament with Eric Pauly already with 2 fouls. And 15:54 remaining in the first half. Roy Williams, backup center. Greg Ostertag, the 7'2" player, not here with a stress fracture. You've got to have the muscle to match Weber and company. Weber atrocious from the line again.
You know, he just kind of flips it up there without any rhyme or reason to it. Someone needs to take him aside and get a rhythm to him.
We're tied up at 7 in the early going here in Honolulu. Goal shooting, both 3 of 6, and we have 15:52 remaining in the first half of the finals of the Kraft Rainbow Classic. I'm Don Poyer along with Bob Elliott and Roy Williams and his team tied at 7 with the Wolverines.
Is that a fashion statement or what? Go ahead, Roy.
He didn't buy it in Lawrence, I'll tell you that.
Tell you what, I wish I was in Lawrence right now. I bet there are a lot of people saying, I can't wait till he comes back so we can give him a little something about this shirt.
We know a lot of folks are in the state of Kansas are watching tonight, as late as it is back there.
Well, I talked to the Stallworth family. You know, Bud played in the NBA. We had a graphic yesterday. Bud played 5 years. He's now at KU at the medical center in a management position. And they were telling me that the people back in Lawrence are waiting for this matchup.
That was Steve Woodbury on that last shot, who came off the bench and gets the loose ball here thanks to Ritchie, who knocked it loose. Patrick Ritchie also coming in for Kansas. Polley can't do it. Great block by Riley, who just came into the game for Michigan. Eric Riley with the block. That's at least 2 for the Wolverines tonight. King off the glass. The tip not there by Riley. Polley with a rebound. Quick outlet over to Adonis Jordan. He's got Sean Pearson to the right side. He hit a 3-pointer last night. Back to Polley. Woodbury, one of the best 6th men in the country, bar none. Oh, up with the left hand. Not quite enough to finish it was Jordan.
No, there's too much tall timber down low for him to try that shot.
Rose for 3. Long rebound. Adonis Jordan with it. Got a chance to run with Woodbury. Going against King of Michigan. Woodbury all the way, and the foul by King. Jimmy King, the sophomore.
There's your confidence on the break. Woodbury looks at King. He knows King can get up in the air, but he feels I can get up higher and just challenge him. That's a one-on-one, back at you. I'm coming at you, no questions asked. Because he could have easily passed it back to Adonis Jordan, who was all alone. But he said, no, me and you. I'll meet you at the bridge.
First foul on King as Eric Polley sits down for a rest. He has 2 fouls. Sean Pearson sits down. Howard back in for Michigan, number 25.
I was a little surprised that Polley stayed out that long, because the last thing Kansas needs is for Polley to pick up his 3rd foul.
Yeah, I was surprised too. They really don't have the depth that they need at that position. Ritchie can come in and help, but he's a little banged up.
Roy Williams rolled the dice a little bit, because it seems like if you leave a guy out that last second, something always happens. Maybe it's a putback play, somebody over the back, but something always seems to happen.
Well, Kansas came in here. They are being out-rebounded by their opponents. 38-36 per game right now. They call it over and back. Kansas did not touch it. Steve Fisher, mighty thrilled gentleman after that victory against Dean Smith. He's now 2-0 against Dean and North Carolina in his years as the head coach for the Wolverines.
Talk about a fashion statement. Look at the top of the screen, the 4 Michigan coaches. They have the little matching Hawaiian shirts.
Rex Walters short on the 3-point attempt. Coming down, got the foul on Riley, I believe, of Michigan.
It's going to be an aggressive game down the paint. And let's talk about too many cooks in the kitchen. Look at there. There's the fashion statement. And even the pants.
Oh,
you can get the pants matching.
And they didn't buy those in Ann Arbor.
No.
Rayford into the ball game now for Kansas, a speedy 5'6" guard. Shortest Jayhawk to ever put on a uniform for KU. Loose ball still there. Walters. Oh, look out. Howard in front of him. Loose ball again as he tried to pop it loose. Riley with it for Michigan.
Now with Rayford in the game, he's only about 5'6". Michigan should try to take whoever he's guarding and post him up. Right now, Jimmy King has the matchup.
Jimmy King at 6'5" and Calvin Rayford at 5'6". It's a matter of how soon they can get the ball back and go down and try to take advantage of that. Whoop, Rayford coming out now as Adonis Jordan right back in.
You know, if you think long, sometimes you think wrong, and they should have had that matchup and exploited it while the little fellow was out there.
Well, Roy Williams had a smile on his face when he sent Jordan back in, like, I don't think I want to keep this going. Scott trying to keep it in play. Also into the game, James Bosco for Michigan, the senior out of Grand Rapids, as Scott is the man who threw it up in the air for Kansas.
Surprisingly, Jalen Rose is going to get the ball to bring it up. They've been letting someone else bring it up so he doesn't have to feel that pressure from Adonis Jordan, because Adonis is one of the best defensive guards in the nation.
And they post up Rose against the shorter Jordan, and it works.
There's your matchup. You find the matchup problem. Even with Jordan, he's a great defensive player, but he's only 6 feet tall. Rose is 6'8", post him up every time.
Rose with 4 points. Woodbury against Bosco. 2 very good men coming off the bench for these 2 respective teams. Walters got the high post. Oh, he was trying to go to Scott. Scott was setting the pick.
Back to you, and hello.
2-on-2. King in and out. turnaround heartbreak. Ritchie the rebound for Kansas. Knocked out of bounds by Voskuhl.
You know, the pass wasn't exactly a lob pass, and it wasn't exactly a crisp pass. Watch this. Here, Riley gets it to King. It's going to be a 2-on-1. He said, I'll give it to you, give it back, pass a little behind him. He had trouble handling it to put it in. When you have a guy like King who can jump that high, just lob it up to the basket. He'll finish it for you with a dunk.
Or let Rose finish it. Make the fake. 2 points. 2 for Patrick Ritchie, who had that surgery recently to repair strained ligaments on his knee. Howard, little turnaround, didn't get the English. Voskuhl, good offensive board, pumps it back up. Last touch by Walters. How many times are they going to miss the shot in the paint tonight? They're getting the position, but they're not getting the points.
Yeah, but even if you do not score, you're still working on Kansas's mind. It's like, hey, we own the paint. And Michigan has that reputation of being solid in the paint.
You saw Darren Hancock come back into the game. King left alone for a three-point attempt.
And he can shoot that. Last year as a freshman, he shot 48% from three-point land.
He's at 43 this year. Ritchie passes and goes through. Out pops Jordan with the taller King at 6'5", checking him. Walters. He needs to shoot it from the outside. Voskuhl checking Woodbury. Reserve against reserve. Traveling. Rex Walters, Kansas.
Rex tried to do too much that time. Pump fake, crossover dribble, pivot foot slid a little bit.
3 turnovers for Kansas, 2 for Steve Fisher's Wolverines. Kansas right on their average of their opponent, out rebounding them by 2 per game. As 11 go to Michigan, they get the nod. Turnovers, they're tied 3 apiece with 11:58 remaining here in the first half. Both teams at 1 for 4 from the free throw line. So Roy Williams Jayhawks at 25%, likewise for the Wolverines.
You know, that 2 rebound difference doesn't bother me too much if it stays at 2 for the rest of the game. But you cannot give up 2 more rebounds after 10 minutes and make it 2 the next 10 and end up with like an 8 rebound difference. That's going to make a difference at the end of this game.
Michigan, though, has played about 8 minutes with only 3 turnovers. That's good for them, as you say.
There's your post-up move again. Identify the matchup problem. Go to Rose, who has a shorter man on him. Jalen's going to have a field night if they don't make some kind of a change.
The Maize and Blue by 2. 11:29 here in the first half. The finals of the Kraft Rainbow Classic. The drive inside.
Darren Hancock that time showed about 4 different moves within 1 second. Watch him get the ball. Watch, he's going to take a dribble. You don't know if he's going to his right or to his left, and that's why Chris Webber cannot block the shot. Chris had to come up to him and try to figure out which way is he going to go. Well, by that time, he figured out it was too late. He'd already laid it up and in.
And the foul on Kansas. Inside, evidently Ritchie pushing, or Hancock. 5 team fouls on both clubs.
Which sounds about right. They've both been about equally aggressive. I know sometimes people watching will say, hey, they're hurting our team. They're all over them. Well, this has been a pretty well officiated game so far.
Ed Hightower, the only Big Ten official in the game, as the score by Rose.
Again, Jalen now is saying, I don't even have to post this guy up. I can just take him to the basket from the outside.
Big height advantage with Jordan at only 5'11". Oh, Ritchie had the lob jam. Oh, keeps it alive. Back over to Jordan. Ritchie can hit it from 3. He can play the 2 guard or the forward, either forward position.
So Ritchie goes outside. That pulls Chris Webber away from his comfort zone of being down low near the basket.
Ritchie can't buy it. Back out to King. And Michigan happy to let Kansas keep shooting from the outside.
There's your shot.
Voskuhl for 3.
That's the disadvantage when you start collapsing in low. All Michigan has to do is send one guy to spot up out on the 3-point area. He's going to get a great look at the basket without any contesting.
Michigan, biggest lead now, 19-14. Jordan, nothing from the outside for the Jayhawks right now. Rose always looking ahead, looking to the hoop for a teammate. Bosco to clear out the side for him against the reserve Woodbury. Howard at the high post, not there. Look at the hustle by
Showtime. No, just plain two-hand Tommy Hawk.
Mr. Hancock.
That was a lack of hustle. Two Michigan players could have gone for that ball. It was right in between both of them. And instead of both of them going after it, they both looked at each other like, it's your ball. That could also be a sign of fatigue.
We saw the same thing in terms of effort by Kansas last night in their game against Hawaii. Foul inside as they go to Howard, posting up. Hancock, number 32.
Now that matchup of Howard and Hancock is also in Michigan's favor. Juwan Howard is used to playing down low and getting a smaller guy. Now he can go for it. Here's your Tommy Hawk. See, it's basically a two-hand motion. You bring it back and you bring it toward the rim.
I wonder if they'll ever score points by the style of the dunk as well as putting the ball through the hoop. You never know.
Indirectly it does, because you get the crowd going.
Yeah.
That can help boost you up.
Hancock with the foul. He is second, by the way, for Kansas. 16 fouls on Kansas.
Bosco had that shot. When you have it, you have to take it.
Pauly way outside with Weber. Howard. That's going to be Scott with a foul. No, they're going to call it on Walters from the outside on the double team.
Michigan's trying to go against Kansas's defensive pressure with what I call an overload. You send 4 guys over to one side of the floor. Kansas automatically is going to have 4 guys, if not 5, on that same side. What it's going to create is the one guy from Michigan who's over on the weak side. If they reverse it around quickly, will basically have an isolation all by himself.
Walters with his second foul and the 7th team foul on Kansas. 5 on Michigan. Howard coming off a 9-point, 7-rebound game against the Tar Heels last night. Again, golden opportunities slipping by both teams from the foul line. Didn't go out of bounds, hit the backboard as Walters tried to get it inside. A Wolverine tipped it. Back to King. Just under 9, well, right at 9 minutes here in the first half.
There's your overload, and Weber down low.
And that's going to be foul number 3, or will it be? It's on Scott. Boy, they could have had Pauly dead to rights. He was over Weber. They're really hurting them inside with the strength Michigan is.
Watch it. See, you got a high-low with a guy up high, and he can go to either side, either Weber to his right or Juwan Howard to his left. They all collapse on him. But one thing that Kansas should try to do is keep the ball out of the middle of the floor for Michigan. If you put King at the high post, and he's almost at the three-point land, and the 2 bookends, Howard and Weber down low, now Michigan has 3 options. King can shoot the 3 if no one's going to contest him, or he has 2 sides to choose from. If Kansas can keep the ball on one side of the floor, it takes away that option of having 3 players. Now you only have 2 players you have to worry about shooting the ball.
Up to a 6-point lead for Michigan. And sooner or later, Mr. Weber's going to get his points. Not all at the foul line. There's the steal by Rose. Help from Weber and King.
He's going to take it. Nope. Brought it back out.
He's got the Tyler Woodbury on him now instead of Jordan. Jordan switched over to King. Howard traveling. Boy, deep breath by Eric Pauly, wondering if he was going to get slapped with number 3.
See, Howard held the ball too long. The key to being a postman is when you get the ball, either kick it back out quickly or shoot it quickly, but do something quickly. You hold on to it for a long time, something wrong is going to happen.
Michael Talley coming in for Michigan and replacing Jimmy King. Talley, the senior, maybe the team's best ball handler overall.
And he's a true point guard. Jalen Rose is kind of a flip between a point guard and a shooting guard. Now you have a guy who's going to really run the point.
Yeah, Weber coming up to put the heat on Scott.
Chris is quick enough to play a guy out there. That's what has the pro scouts drooling. He's strong down low and he's quick outside.
Woodbury trying to penetrate. They settle for the 3-pointer. No, Jordan comes back inside. And back out to Woodbury. Shot clock at 13. Down to 8. Woodbury, yeah. And that is why he is so valuable for these Jayhawks coming off the bench.
Well, they call Woodbury their MVP, most versatile player.
Hey, he was MVP of the Golden Harvest tournament in Kansas City this year as a reserve. 25 points in 2 games. Howard banging it off. Oh, I thought he was going off the glass to Weber. Still worked. Ball knocked loose by Pearson of Kansas.
They should post up Weber because he has Pauly on him. See if he can draw that next foul.
There it is.
There it is.
Nice call, buddy.
I tell you, Weber was asking for it, too. He said, bring it to me right now, which is uncharacteristic for him. He's usually not that vocal. Of the 5-5 that like to talk, he's the one that talks the least.
Way off by Pearson. Rose with a smile on his face.
And a little talk. Typical Michigan fashion. Remember, we talked at the top of the show, the psychology, the playground mentality of talking and trying to get a guy to get out of his game and mentally forgetting what he's supposed to do.
And the biggest lead of the night for Michigan, 26-18. Jordan against the senior Talley. Pauly with the 2 fouls. Jordan, they try to clear it out. The foul on Talley as Adonis tried to drive around him.
Let's watch earlier. Chris Webber knew he had a matchup. You see Chris, number 4, to the right side of the screen. There, he has Pauly on him right now. Pauly has 2 fouls for Kansas. The ball comes out. Now watch Chris. Look.
Clapping. Give me the ball.
Now he's got his hand up. He's saying, Jalen, Jalen, kick it down to me. At this point, Pauly's got to stay away.
And that's why Michigan is up by 8. We'll return. Timeout here on the court. In that run of 7-2, many of the points coming in the inside against Roy Williams' team, thus the higher field goal percentage.
Tell you what, it's very rare to find a team shoot more than 50% from the field against Kansas's defense, but you're seeing it this evening because Michigan's taking it down low where the percentages are a little bit better.
Turnovers still tied up 5 each with 6.5 minutes to go in the first half. Pauly and Ritchie both in there. Ritchie against Howard finds the opening. Nice patience by Ritchie.
And a lack of defensive effort by Howard, who let his man get down low and then tried to block the shot. You have to play defense with your feet.
Rose way too hard off the glass. Weber with a rebound. The foul from behind by Woodbury.
Now there's a lot of screaming and hollering going on here in the arena because of that foul. But having refereed before, it's all about the angle. And you can see from this angle right here, watch Woodbury come from behind. And it looks like all ball up top. But from that angle, the official's saying maybe it's a little bit of the back. Here, let's see if he gets his body on him. See, from that angle there, you really can't tell what's going on with the body.
From our angle, watching it live, I thought he got him with the body.
Evidently it was. And you know what they say, once it's in the books, it's a call.
Not going to change it as Weber with 5 points. Plenty of those coming from the free throw line. 6:18 remaining in the first half. 7-point lead for Michigan. They added up to 8. Sean Pearson, number 21, with the ball against Pelinka, who started for the injured Ray Jackson, who's not playing, a separated left shoulder. Weber gets it to the middle lane. Rose almost gets his pocket picked by Jordan. Loose ball in the paint. Back out to Jordan. Got the big guy in front of him against Pelinka. Pauly lays it in.
Nice concentration by Pauly. He had a quicker guy going after the ball. He took it away from him and up to the glass all in one motion.
And the lead is cut to 5. Talley, dangerous pass to Pelinka.
You know, Kansas dodged a bullet on that one because they could be down by 9. Instead, now it's only a 5-point margin.
Woodbury on Rose. There's Talley, won't score a lot, averaging only about a point a game. Oh, Weber. Howard to Weber.
You talk about interior passing. Howard to Weber within a 3-foot area.
Pauly, no, but he is fouled by Weber. Oh my goodness, why do you foul a big man when he's taking a shot that far out?
I don't think it was intentional, but hey, if you bump him, you bump him. Now watch this. This is how you do interior passing. Watch Howard, he's going to set the pick. You got your pick and roll. Goes back to him, and he spots his big fellow teammate. Boom.
Again, feel the pressure. You know you've got an open teammate.
But that's a good look. You know, most big guys, 6'8", 6'9", unless they're like a Rose or a Magic Johnson or somebody, cannot see within that framework of 3 feet and make a soft touch on it. It takes a nice soft pass to get it there.
Pauly, the 5th-year senior on the line, as he's averaging just over 13 a game. But a very good contest against the Islander, or rather the Rainbows, last night, matching a career high with those 23 beams. Coming up on the 5-minute mark here in the first half. Don Poyer, Bob Elliott with you here on Prime Network. Pelinka with a lot of pressure by Woodbury and Hancock. Weber. Cold tonight from outside the line. He was 2 of 3 last night. Jimmy King coming back in for the Wolverines.
You know, Weber shoots that 3 better when he's up top. That time he was more so to the side. It's a little different look, a little different angle.
Rose, Weber, Riley into the game for Michigan, along with King and Pelinka. Woodbury, the junior, along with Hancock. Here's Adonis Jordan trying to find the seam, just not there. Hancock. Hancock with 6 tonight. Jimmy King. 3.
King is another guy. He has to have his feet set and his shoulders square to the basket to shoot that ball well.
Foul back before he entered the key on Pelinka.
Rob saddled him up a little bit and rolled him all the way in.
As Woodbury will go to the line. Steve, the junior out of Wichita, Kansas. He's at 6'4", and he matches up much better with Jalen Rose defensively when he's with him. I'm still not sure Rose is a legitimate 6'8".
I think they stretched that one a little bit. And there's no afro there to do it with either. He has his head clean shaven.
Woodbury on the line. He's a gutsy player. Hit a field goal at the buzzer to beat Kansas State last year. Hit 2 free throws with very little time remaining to beat Colorado last year in Big 8 play. He can play both guards and the small forward, and we have seen, in fact, he can play really any position on the court. He's done them all, hasn't he?
He has played all 5 positions during his tenure at KU.
Juwan Howard back in for Michigan as Chris Weber will take a blow. 4:13 remaining here in the first half.
Now that's a good move because there's going to be an automatic timeout on the next dead ball. So now Weber can basically get about a minute of rest now, a minute and a half during the timeout. He gets 2.5 by only missing 1 minute of action.
No one in foul trouble really for Michigan. And at this point still only 2 fouls on Eric Pauley of Kansas. Here comes King. Offense.
You know, he accelerates to the basket well and gets off the floor quickly. So it's a great defensive play. Watch, there's your move. Let's see who's going to come right into the middle.
Scott.
Well, you never know. But like I said earlier, if they call it, it's in the book.
Judgment call all the way. 3:57 remaining here in the first half. Timeout here at Blaisdell Arena. Michigan's biggest lead here in the first half has been 8 points. Cut down to 4 at this point. Right now, Michigan at an even 12 of 24, 50%, 5 of 10 from the free throw line, though. Kansas not much better, 5 of 9 from the free throw line, Robert.
Don, these next 4 minutes are what I call statement time. For Kansas, if you can get back to the game and get either tied or ahead by the half, then the first 20 minutes you played well. For Michigan, it's a chance to make a statement and go up by 9 or 10 and let Kansas know, no, we're in control here.
The wrestling match continues. Riley's trying to keep it alive without being called for traveling. Here comes Howard. Fife, Dugan Fife into the ball game for Michigan, getting extended playing time after the injury to Ray Jackson. He's number 11 on the left side as he goes through. Rose looking for the posting up Riley. Back to Fife.
See, Fife needs to get a little closer to the basket so he can be a threat offensively.
Pelinka there too. Might have gotten away with a travel there. Rose checked by the Schroeder. Jordan trying to go with the alley-oop. That's number 3 on Pauley.
And that's a big foul for Kansas. They cannot afford to have Eric Pauley sitting on the side.
It's a huge foul. They're lucky they got up to just 3 minutes remaining in the first half before he got the third one.
See, Rose looking over the top with his height, saw Riley on the backdoor cut, and Pauley tried to take him out from down low.
Jordan.
That hurts. That hurts KU.
Eric Pauley and Adonis Jordan both sit down for Kansas as Rayford comes back into the guard. Ritchie in there, Woodbury, Hancock, and Scott for Kansas. My goodness.
But see, you have to convert your free throws, and Michigan as a team is just terrible as a free throw shooting team.
Well, they're 6 of 12.
That's awful.
It is. Aaron Hancock looking for Ritchie. They're trying to post him up against Howard. Boy, that's tough doings. Ritchie with his back to the hoop. Now at the high post is Hancock. Back to Woodbury. Rayford gives to Hancock. Back to Woodbury.
Right now, Kansas's passing game seems to be more for ball motion than for guys looking at the basket.
Or trying to wear them out. Michigan has got to be tired. Third game in 3 nights. Scott, high rainbow, appropriately called shot here in Rainbow Country as Scott hits the 2.
Now it's down to a 3-point game again. Again, it's statement time the last 4 minutes. Kansas trying to make a statement and say, hey, you guys gave us your best shot. You couldn't shake us loose. Michigan's going to try to tell them, you guys shouldn't be playing in the same arena with us.
And it's a quick lineup in there for Kansas.
There's your post up.
Howard, got to be a foul on Scott. Crowd doesn't like it.
But you know what Scott did that time was he went for the steal with his inside arm. When you're coming around and you're 3/4 playing a guy on the post, you got to come with your outside arm. Watch your pass go in. And look, he's going with his left hand and his left arm for the steal. If he goes with his right arm, now he doesn't make that foul, and he probably gets the steal, and Kansas going the other way.
He is upset, that being Roy Williams. Scott is upset, and the entire end of the gymnasium, the end they're shooting in the upper deck, solid Jayhawk fans, and they're not crazy about what's going on.
Michigan cracks me up with the, I call them the Phantom 5. Instead of like going up to a guy and slapping his hand, just kind of put it up there, and it's like, here, back at you.
And they miss yet another free throw.
It's going to kill them. It's going to haunt them. If not today, somewhere down the line where they start shooting, where they keep shooting 50% from the free throw line.
Still trying to post up Ritchie. Hancock at the high post. Rayford, not necessarily a scorer. At least we haven't seen him do much here in the tournament. Ritchie is capable of doing so, and there's double dribble. Good call, Robert.
It went through his hands, hit the ground, and he got it and tried to dribble it again.
1:40 remaining. Steve Fisher's team, and Steve brings Weber back in as the Wolverines lead by 4.
Now, Richard Scott has 2 fouls for Kansas, and he's guarding Chris Weber. Michigan has to go down low to Weber. If you can get Scott with his 3rd foul, that's going to be a big plus, because then Pauley and Scott would have 2 fouls each.
Howard, Woodbury stays out of the way. Likewise for Scott. The lead back up to 6 for the Wolverines. Biggest lead was 8.
I look for Kansas again to move the ball around, because really what they're doing is stalling. They're trying to not have as many possessions since they don't have Pauley in the game. So run the ball around, use the clock a little bit, and turn this into a possession game. We're going to get the ball twice, and we're going to take a shot with about 55 on the clock. You have to give it back to us again with about 10 seconds.
That's rolling the dice, though, Robert. That's dangerous, because the more opportunities you cut down or eliminate by doing that, you better make something happen when you do have the ball.
Seeing is 6 points down right now.
There's an opportunity missed.
Now, see, Michigan's either going to go for the basket now or pull it back out. Use the clock.
41 on the game clock, 37 on the shot clock. Foul. Hancock on the rebound. Looks like it may be. Let's wait and see. It is indeed on Chris Weber. Both teams with the 10 team fouls, and Weber's 2nd.
So that was a gutsy shot by Pelinka, and actually a shot that they didn't need. You're sitting there, it's 36-30. The game has been played anywhere from we've been up as high as 8 and to a tie game. Hey, keep the ball out, use the clock, and go in at halftime with either a 6-point lead or an 8, or if you hit a 3, a 9-point. Now Kansas gets the ball, gets a shot, 2 free throws. Now you have to come down and convert.
Scott sits down, and Sean Pearson comes back in, the sophomore out of LaGrange Park, Illinois.
Good move by Roy Williams, getting Scott out of the game, so he cannot pick up his third foul.
Shot clock is turned off, obviously, with only 37.8 seconds remaining in the first half. Two-time Georgia High School Player of the Year, Darren Hancock. Greg Gurley, number 33 for the Jayhawks, checks in. And they will sit Hancock down so he gets out of any trouble or avoids any trouble in the last 30 seconds.
Roy is playing a chess game, big time.
He's got big problems in the second half in terms of fouls and big people inside.
Got about 20 seconds on the clock. Michigan's going to run it down. You want to start your offensive move at about 8 seconds so you can have a shot and a chance for a putback, but not too soon so the other team gets a chance to go all the way down and take a shot against you. See, it's 8 on the clock.
Turnover, Michigan. And a grimace of pain on Rose's face. Likewise for Mr. Fisher.
See, not a good move. That was too long of a pass to try to make it that time. He has the ball in his hands. He should have made his move.
Fisher bringing in the big guy, Riley, in for defensive purposes, and Weber sits down.
And again, to keep Weber also out of foul trouble.
He has 2. Rayford, shortest man on the court, scores at the buzzer at 5'6". He dares the tall timber, drives the paint, and scores at the buzzer. And Riley is shaking his head as he walks off the court, and Roy Williams couldn't be happier.
Statement time. Kansas only down 2, and as bad of a half as that was, Roy Williams goes in. He's only down 2. He does not have 3 fouls on Pauly. He does not have 3 fouls on Scott.
Halftime here in Honolulu. We'll be back. We're at halftime here on Prime Network with the Kraft Rainbow Classic Championship game between the second-ranked Kansas Jayhawks and the number 6 Michigan Wolverines. A 2-point lead for Michigan. They led by as many as 8, Bob Elliott, in the first half, and now they see it at 2. Calvin Rayford with that drive at the buzzer. That was a statement, as you said, within that statement period by Kansas.
Well, the little fellow went coast to coast, took it all the way down, and at that point said, I'm going all the way. Big guys, block it if you can, but I don't think you can.
The one thing I talked about going into the game was, can Kansas muscle with Michigan in the paint? At this point, they're having problems. Pauly with 2 fouls, a couple of other people with fouls, that many as well.
They've been having problems, Don, as you said, but at the same time, they're only down by 2. So that has to be encouraging to Kansas. For Michigan, they couldn't quite put Kansas away. They had them up by 8. They let them drift back down, and now it's only a 2-point game.
Now, I want to correct myself. 3 fouls on Eric Pauly, as I thought, not 2. Surprised at anything in this first half?
No, because, you know, like we talked about at the top, you're talking about 2 great teams, great programs, and great tradition. It's a heavyweight battle, toe-to-toe, and it's a 2-point game.
The teams are shooting better than they have in the earlier games, in the earlier rounds of this tournament. Michigan especially, they were down around 30%, actually close to 40, but the first half it was very cold against Nebraska. They heated up. Whether or not they do so in the second half against the Jayhawks, we'll wait and see. It's halftime, and Michigan enjoys a 2-point lead over the Jayhawks, number 2 in the nation, and we'll be back. Back at halftime, Kansas trailing Michigan by 2, 36-34 here at halftime at Blaisdell Arena. And a gentleman very comfortable with this arena, as a matter of fact, is Hawaii head coach Riley Wallace in his 6th year with the Rainbows. Bob and I have been overly impressed with the quality and the way this tournament has been run. Congratulations. I know it's murder trying to do that, working with athletic director Stan Sheriff and coaching your own basketball team.
Especially this year with a lot of our administration gone to the Holiday Bowl, where the Rainbow team won their game today against Illinois, my old school, where I have a master's degree from the University of Illinois. So
we have to congratulate 27-17, by the way.
That's right. So we had a lot of the administration away, and we were a little concerned because this is a class tournament, and the people here really, really like the hospitality and the Aloha spirit that we try to put forward for them. But great coaches and one of the best fields we've ever had.
You have a lot of things going for you in terms of getting teams out here. Sure, the weather, but also they like the head-to-head quality competition, I would imagine.
They do, and you know, we have the great Maui Classic over on Maui, but they don't have the arena. You know, it's non-air conditioned, and it's a smaller gym. And so some of the teams, Michigan was actually scheduled to go over there, and with the final exam week right upon them, we got them in here last year at the last minute, which really helped make the tournament also. And then we had a couple of cancellations later this summer, and in Southwest Louisiana and Jackson State. Some people thought, well, a little lesser opponent. No way. They had some great games and some individuals that really performed for them, and the fans here have really turned out and excellent crowds.
Yes.
Well, you mentioned about arena, and there's talks now that you have a new arena going up here. How's that going to help you in your program?
Well, they actually broke ground, and there's a big hole right outside our practice arena. And out there the other day, they were knocking down part of the building, and it was shaking the practice floor. So we'll have 10,700 seats on campus. We hope for the opening of '94 season, and Dean Smith and I have gotten together. I'm going over there next year, and he's going to come back, and we hope open the arena for us in '94.
Oh, that's fabulous. That's beautiful. What about your field next year? Who's coming back? Who's coming over?
Well, you have Louisville, Clemson, Florida, Santa Barbara, University of California, Jerry Pimm's team, Oklahoma State, Army, Evansville, and Hawaii. You know, it's a very, very competitive field and some good ones. In '94, I've already got Villanova coming, and Boston University, and one other one I can't even think off my head right now, but it's going to be a good field.
It's got to be a great recruiting tool for you, too, to say, look, guys, come on over. Look who you're going to play in your 4 years at Hawaii.
It will, and we want to keep this tournament as competitive. Some people were talking, you know, do you want to play the number 2 and 5 ranked team? But yeah, sure, our kids will learn a lot from that. They get to play before big crowds, and it gets us ready for the Western Athletic Conference, which has big players in it, just like we played tonight. We got to get ready to play.
Ronnie Wallace, head coach at Hawaii, congratulations. Thanks for coming by. I know you're a busy man.
Thank you. We like our relationship with Prime Network.
Thank you, sir. Highlights, statistics of this championship game coming up right after this. Back at halftime here in the final round of the Kraft Rainbow Classic. 29th year. 8 teams have been getting together on an annual basis. And let's take a look at some of the highlights now, Bob, of the first half. First of all, for Kansas, the home team in this contest, as a matter of fact, Mr. Scott does the job here.
You know, first the little fellow Rayford tries to go baseline, pulls it back out, gives a chance for Scott. You see him right there posting up, gets Riley on his back, quick dribble, up high in the air and in.
The scoring for the Jayhawks, Darren Hancock, the forward, starting, and Woodbury coming off the bench with 7, but Polly with 3 fouls and only 6 points. He has got to do more than that. Even though he's close to his average, they've got to get some production from him.
They need something from him, and having 3 fouls sit on the bench does not help them.
Then on to Michigan.
Now this is a textbook play. Weber starts it out, and watch him keep him track. He's at the top, right in the middle. He's going to drift down low. Pass goes to Rose. It's going to come over here to Howard. Now Howard's going to set it up with a pick and roll right here. He's going to set the pick, roll to the basket. Talley kicks it over to Howard, back over to Weber because his man Pauly tried to shift over on the pick and roll, and there's a textbook play. Pick and roll with a nice interior pass.
The point guard with double figures in the first half. Weber with 8, and then Howard, King, and then Voskuhl and Riley. Bench scoring almost non-existent. Voskuhl and Riley coming off with 4 points combined. Overall, Kansas shooting slightly better than Michigan. 3-point shooting. It's been somewhat of a tool for Michigan at 3 of 7. Rebounding, the trend is still following with Kansas, Bob, and then the turnovers virtually even.
Basically not bad. Now Kansas's percentage from the field went up during the last 3 or 4 minutes when they made that statement getting back into the game.
All right. Let's take a final timeout, and then we will get into the final 20 minutes of this, the finals between the Jayhawks and the Wolverines. Over the Jayhawks as we're preparing for the second half. You see the shirts that the coaching staff of Michigan is wearing, and the lays on the women in the back, the wives of these coaches. They are all provided by the University of Michigan Alumni Society of Hawaii. Very nice. Except we noticed that Perry Watson, one of the assistant coaches, right in the middle of the picture, is not wearing one of those shirts.
No, because remember now, Perry's from Detroit, and I don't think that's a fashion statement down there where I'm from.
Things are plenty serious down on the Kansas end of the court as well. There's Calvin Rayford, who hit that bucket at the end, and Roy Williams sees his team down by 2 And remember, Kansas is 0-4 against Michigan. It may be early going in the season. This is important and has all sorts of psychological ramifications for March Madness should they meet again. We're in downtown Honolulu, and the second half of the Kraft Rainbow Classic Finals underway. Loose ball and already a turnover for Kansas. Weber, the lob to King, right back to Weber. Howard in the right place, right time.
They run the floor so well. 3 of the Fab Five right there. King, Weber, and Howard doing their thing. We were worried about the game playing. He was the only person in the first half to play all 20 minutes. I think the arm is fine.
Scott with a jump hook over Weber. Rose with the rebound. Biggest lead for Michigan was 8. The lob to Howard, helping out. Remember, Polley has 3 fouls. There's not much he can do, so Howard may get a real run of scoring here in the second half.
I tell you, Don, at the top of the show, you asked me the question what I think about who is going to win, and I said the first 5 minutes coming out at the half, Michigan, again, is making a statement. They've come out, great defense, and 2 offensive plays with scores.
Ooh, tough foul on Weber. I don't know what he did. He was like a statue.
But you know, officials are overly sensitive to a player's elbow. And that time, Polley went up. Watch, Weber 4 is going to guard him. Now watch his hand hit right there, hit his elbow. And anybody that's played the game knows if you want to really throw a guy's shot off, just touch his elbow. It's like just taking all the strength away from you, and a 15-foot jump shot ends up going 10 feet.
From the free throw line, Kansas was 7 of 11 in the first half. 8 of 12 at this point. 5-point lead, Michigan. Pelinka tries 3. King skies in the air to knock it loose, but Polley with a rebound for Kansas. Quick outlet down to Walters. Kansas trying to get something generated. Down along the baseline, Hancock, tough shot with the right hand. Scott keeps it alive. Down to the corner, Hancock does likewise. Jordan somehow keeps it from going over and back. Great play. Walters, let's see if they waste it or not on the great effort by Jordan, and they do. Was that a 3 in the key call?
I think it was a foul.
A foul? Okay.
Foul. Watch his save. That's one save.
4th foul, excuse me, Eric, but on Eric Polley, Bob.
Right there, saw him move right there into Pelinka. You cannot do a moving screen. That's his 4th. Now let's see how Kansas regroups from that, because Polley's the only big fella that they have.
That's it.
Now they've got to go with Richie, who really likes to play more on the perimeter than down low.
He's at 6'8". Polley 6'10", so they're giving away a couple of inches and certainly some brawn. Rose, little floating left-handed jump hook.
There's your post-up move again. The 6'8" Rose against the 6-foot Jordan.
7-point lead for Michigan. Kansas has got to be extremely careful now.
This is when they need to go from being an inside team and trying to put the ball down into the paint to being an outside team. They have 2 guards who could be the best guard tandem in the country. Time for them to take over and shoot from the outside.
Jordan trying for 3. No luck. Jordan at 12 of 29 coming into this tournament from the 3-point circle for Coach Williams as Riley comes back in. Eric, the senior for Michigan, and Weber sits down.
You know, Michigan's had 7 or 8-point leads throughout this game and could never take it to double digits. Now's a chance for them to make that move and start to dominate this particular basketball game.
Weber has 3 fouls. As Rose hits for a tray.
And now it's a 10-point margin. They have not seen that yet. There's 3 basic margins in basketball: 3, 7, and 10. 10 because of the psychological ramifications of being down by double digits. And that's what Michigan just attained.
And that's the biggest lead of the night for the Wolverines. Walters, and the lead goes right back down to 7. A huge shot for the Jayhawks.
Again, if you cannot go inside, go outside. And Rex Walters and Adonis Jordan are going to take over this game for Kansas.
Riley can't do it. Scott with a good muscling rebound. Walters comes out, helps out his teammate, streaks the key with the left hand and lays it in. Here come the Jayhawks.
And I do not believe it's a coincidence that the last 3 shots have been taken by Adonis Jordan and 2 by Rex Walters. These 2 guys are seniors. They've been there. They know what's going on. They know it's up to them to carry the team right now.
A 5-0 run by Kansas. Pelinka gives to Howard. Jump hook against Ritchie. Scott muscles another rebound. 2 in a row by the big guy.
Now Adonis is coming down. He's looking. He sees Walters. Nice pass.
Walters, but he's double teamed. Ritchie underneath. Somehow keeps it alive. Jordan, right place. Gets away from the Wolverines. They take the ball, but they foul Jordan. Well, they had the setup with Ritchie underneath, but 2 Wolverines came over to help very quickly.
You know, if he had caught the initial pass, he'd have been fine. Now, see, look at Walters coming down. Watch, he's going to take Jalen Rose, float to the side, and get himself away from Rose, and then lay it back up right over the top.
3 fouls on Rob Pelinka of Michigan. 1 team foul on Kansas, 2 on the Wolverines, with 16:15 remaining in the second half. It was a 10-point lead just moments ago for Michigan. Now it is down to 5. Patrick Ritchie gives to Walters. Trying to work it inside with Scott. Boy, Rose is everywhere. Jordan too short, can't get the shot off. Last touch by Howard. Jayhawk ball, and Howard will sit down. Weber comes back in with the 3 fouls, and we have a timeout. We'll return to Honolulu after this timeout. Stay tuned to Prime Network all season long, as we've got a jam session coming up in the Southwest Conference, the Pac-10, where Bob and I will be all year, the Big 8 and the Metro Conference. Lots of great college basketball coming your way on Prime Network as conference action opens up here in another week or so. In fact, you and I will be down in Los Angeles, Arizona State at USC, and George Raveling, the dean of Pac-10 coaches.
It's going to be a good ball game. You're talking about SC and Arizona State, both teams this year that are living and dying by the 3-pointer. They're going to let it fly that evening.
Bill Frieder at ASU in his 4th year. Used to coach, of course, the Maize and Blue of Michigan. And a great block by the Maize and Blue.
And that is why Patrick Ritchie stays outside instead of going down low. It's a little too hot down in the heat.
Voskuhl has come into the game for Michigan. Posting up Eric Riley against the shorter Ritchie. Way off, but the foul on Ritchie.
And again, that was an elbow call, but here's your block at the other end. Watch, Ritchie's down low, goes straight up. And Chris, great timing. Says, not in here. The bridge, my son, is closed.
The wall is up. Weber at 25 blocks coming into the tournament. And he's had a bundle in the 3 games that he's played. Steve Woodbury back in as Hancock sits down for Kansas.
There's those free throws again, Don.
Yeah. Come March, they're going to need every one of those, as they well know.
They might need them tonight against Kansas.
Yep. Riley had 7 points, 4 rebounds against the Tar Heels last night, coming off the bench.
The Woodbury, who had the ball pass over to Scott, did not start, but played 16 minutes. I think there's a good message there for the young kids. It's not who starts the game, it's who plays and finishes it.
And he likes to be there. He loves being the man with the ball at crunch time, as you have said.
He ended up playing more minutes than anybody, but did not start the game. So what's the meaning of starting a game?
Scott with a turnaround. Weber grabs it with the hand, doesn't he? King looking at Riley. They won't go with the lob. And Voskuhl sets it up. He looks at Riley.
Take it to the other side. You got Weber. There he is. Hello.
Yes. They were looking for that from the very beginning of that series.
But that play was set up because Rose could have passed it to the wing and dropped it down to Weber. And right then the defensive player froze, and Weber went back door. That's the same move you see a lot with the San Antonio Spurs with David Robinson. A quick spin, a lob, good night, see you later.
Walters gets around Riley. Good steal by Rose. He does get it.
Got
a chance to run. Got a chance to run. He'll do it himself. Left hand way short. You can see it from here.
That was not a good 4-on-3 break. Watch the block that's going to go to Weber. Now look at Weber's going to come to the left of your screen. Right now, he feels the pressure with Ritchie. Look at Rose. Look at Weber. There's your spin. There's your lob.
And he's out jumping Ritchie as well. Not all that bad a defense.
You know, you're talking about Don making a spin and turning 360 and getting your focus together to find the ball and jump to the moon and catch it and dunk it.
That wasn't exactly chopped liver by Rose there either. trying to get it out of trouble. Michigan comes up with a James Voskuhl with a loose ball. 10-point lead. Michigan matching its biggest lead. Voskuhl they were looking for that time. Good job by Woodbury.
I'll tell you what, right now, Kansas needs to slow it down. The two senior guards, Walters and Jordan, need to take the ball, set their team up, and get a good pattern going. And this is not a good pattern right now.
Pearson from 3. Voskuhl trying to out-rustle Ritchie, who wins the war. Back over to Walters. Another left-hand finger roll. Oh, lovely.
See, again, Kansas gets things done when either Walters or Jordan are the ones with the ball taking the shot. They need to just take over. It's time to be selfish.
Riley gets the English. They could go to him all night if they don't deny him the ball. He could shoot that turnaround all evening. Ritchie tries to answer and does so with 3.
And again, Ritchie feels more comfortable out on the perimeter. And he can take one of these 6'10" and 6'11" big guys in Michigan, take them outside. Make them find out what the air is like where it's a little thinner out there. See if he can play a little defense.
He's taking a beating though, Bob, trying to check Weber, trying to stay with him. He's tired. You know, when you grab the trunks and bend over and rest when you can, you know he's tired. Riley. Ritchie helping out.
Got to clear out.
Yeah, they're trying to give it to Rose. There he gets the pick. And Pearson coming out and is quickly called for the foul.
See, that was an unnecessary foul by Pearson. Here you have a clear out. Now watch. Oh, that's the lob pass again. Watch how high he gets up. Elbows above the rim to bring it on home.
Takes you back, doesn't it, Bob? Takes you back.
Sweet. Oh, it takes me back? Wrong highlight film.
Talking about the wrists, aren't we? Oh, the elbows. Okay. My mistake.
You know, that lob came off the same set that they just had with a clear out for Rose.
3-point. No. Weber gets the rebound, though. He'll let his other teammate try a 3-pointer. Woodbury comes up with it. Here comes Kansas.
Let's see, it's a 3-on-3. Needs to pull it out. He did.
Gotta have the handle. Yeah, couldn't even do it. Good defense by King out there waiting for Jordan. Hancock back in the game. Ritchie. I got to tell you, Kansas looks more tired than Michigan. Kansas has played 3 games in 4 days.
And not against the same type of competition either.
Right, right. But I'm saying Kansas looks tired. Nice touch shot.
That's what a big guy can do. Weber didn't block that shot that time, but he sure altered it. It makes him think when you're down low.
Ball knocked out of bounds. Hancock, he leaped beautifully into the air to knock it away. And a timeout is called here in Honolulu. 11:36 remaining. Michigan with a 5-point lead. Greg Ostertag, the 7'2" center, the sophomore for Kansas, we were told would not be able to play, and I would be very surprised if he does. But he is suited up down on the end of the bench. He has a stress fracture, as you see Chris Weber and Ray Jackson on the far left with that dislocated shoulder from last night's game against North Carolina. The reason we bring that up is, of course, Eric Pauley, Kansas starting center, has 4 fouls, and they need all the help they can inside. 11:32 remaining in the ball game and a 5-point Michigan lead. The Wolverines trying to make a statement here in Honolulu after knocking off 19th or 17th ranked Nebraska. 5th ranked North Carolina. Here comes the heat on the outside by Kansas, and they simply find the back door and score by Howard.
You know, when you try to double team a 6'8" guard, all he has to do is use his height. Watch Jalen Rose. He splits the 2, finds Howard. There's your pass, there's your foul, there's your shot, and look at Riley right there ready for the putback.
Jordan sitting down, Woodbury sitting down as they bring in Walters, Hancock, Ritchie, and Scott. That's the lineup for Kansas. Scott with a rebound. Rayford into the ball game as well. Kansas back to Scott, tries to muscle it up, gets Riley into the air, but can't get the English on the ball to drop it.
You know, it's been tough for Scott to finish these plays because these guys are so much taller than him and get up so high. It's forced him to really arc his shots. And that's why he's going to go earn them this time to shoot 2 at the line.
And that's 2 fouls on Riley. Only 4 team fouls on Kansas and 3 on Michigan. And we're almost halfway through the second half.
Oh, that was ugly. Oh, that was ugly. Tell you what, I'm going to take him, and we're going to start a construction firm. And I saw a couple places around here on the beach that we could build a little something.
You're cold, Elliot. You're really cold.
No, he's shooting it himself.
Oh, my goodness sakes. That was last touch by Richie from our angle. And it will still be Kansas ball. Richie doing a nice job of keeping a straight face. The lead at 7. Now it goes off Kansas Jayhawk again. Scott in this case, and it'll be Michigan ball.
But see, right now a guard should go up to Scott and talk to him. He missed 2 free throws, just committed a turnover. Make sure you keep his head in the game because they're going to need him down low. He's the only guy right now that can battle with the Michigan players down low.
Both teams having a tough time trying to handle the ball these days.
Rose better be careful. There was still one more Kansas player coming down the floor. Let's see if they go to a post-up. You got the little fellow Rayford out there. And who's going to take him? Oh, that's a charge.
Charging all the way. Richard Scott standing out to take that lick by King.
And that's one way to get yourself back into the game. Watch Scott right here. Step out. He's moving.
His feet were moving. Woo.
Boy, was his feet moving on that or what? But hey, it's in the book. But sometimes when you drop that shoulder, you get that kind of a call. And King did drop the shoulder.
Voskuhl trying to keep up with Walters, up and under with the right hand, and he is fouled by James Voskuhl.
Walters can really slash. He reminds me a lot of the kid at Golden State, Marshall Lonis. Left-handed, can shoot the J, but will go to the basket with authority and try to create things.
Voskuhl, one of 5 seniors on this team, as King sits down and Riley sits down. You saw Weber head back into the game. Talley likewise at a guard position. So you've got 2 seniors and 3 sophomores out there for the Wolverines. Michigan from here will go home and host Eastern Michigan on the 2nd of January, and then they get into Big Ten play for a couple of games. Lead cut back down to 5. Rose, nice pass to Weber. Weber trying to go to Howard, no go.
3 on 2.
Rayford to Hancock, all the way to Walters. Richie. 3, no. Good rebound by Weber. He's going to lead the fast break himself. Back over to Howard. Too far under the basket, but somehow Talley scores and draws the foul.
Michael Talley gets a chance to come out and show what he can do. You know, he was already there. Big time player for Michigan. The Fab Five comes in to take the money away. But now Weber, Howard, double pump.
Oh.
There's your drop off. There's your left hand, which gets the basket up and in.
And Richie's the one who took the hit for Coach Roy Williams.
Who just reached the back of his head as in the symbol of wasn't there a charge there on Howard.
That's right. And the 3-point play is made by Talley. 57-49, back to an 8-point lead.
8-point lead, but you know, Kansas has the trump card they don't have to use it yet. They shoot free throws as well as anybody in the country. They can start slowing this whole game down by sending in teammates to commit fouls and turn into a free throw contest, which they know they can beat.
Good muscling by Scott underneath. 9.5 minutes to go. Oh, Rose, reminiscent of the shot he made at the buzzer last night. Doesn't work this time, however. Walters simply got his pocket picked by Talley. 2-on-1, 1-on-1. 1 on nobody as Hancock tried to draw the charge.
And you know, he just gave a little too much Hollywood on that one. If he would have let Howard hit him and then fall down, but Hancock started falling down before Howard even touched him.
Well, Scott's got that one down. You better talk to his teammate.
That might have worked last year at the JC level, but that's not going to fly at major college ball.
That's right. Darren to the ball now. To Rayford. Richie's got to try it again. They need something from outside. Howard. Weber, 1-on-2, waits for his team.
If he had taken that shot, Steve Fisher would have had a half a heart attack. You never have a whole heart attack when your franchise does anything he does. But he'd have had a hard one on that one. Nice pass, jump hook.
Weber with a rebound. Boy, talk about a chairman of the boards.
Okay, Kansas is starting to lose it. Momentum is shifting toward Michigan. Let's see if they can convert here. Nope.
Michigan with its biggest lead. They're tying its biggest lead. The ball hits the foot of Darren Hancock.
Kansas is trying to wait for that TV timeout, which happens in about 17 seconds. But at this point, he brings in his horses. You see the replay. Here's your steal by Talley. Watch Howard coming down. A little too much Hollywood for Hancock.
That's a different approach.
Talley gets a free one.
Eric Polley comes back in with his 4 fouls. Roy Williams saying enough is enough with 8 minutes to go.
Now you have a 10-point margin for Michigan. The chance to go up by 12. Again, extending that lead, showing the potential dominance.
Greg Gurley, you see in the game, along with Jordan and Sean Pearson. All 11 scholarship players for Kansas are averaging at least 10 minutes a game. And they bring in a lot of fresh troops right now to try to turn up the defensive heat. 10-point lead, Wolverines. Make it 12.
See, they just cannot handle Michigan down low. We talked at the top of the show to negate the paint. No negation going on around here in Honolulu.
Now Michigan has owned the blocks on both ends of the court, really. Pearson's three-point attempt not there. King, the guard, getting a rebound. Michigan's starting to feel more and more comfortable. Bosco's shot no good. It'll go the other way. Kansas ball. And a timeout is called. We have 7:33 remaining in the ball game. And the biggest lead of the night for Michigan as they lead second-ranked Kansas by 12.
Premier Power.
Should Michigan hold on to this 12-point lead and go on to defeat number 2 Kansas, where do you think the Wolverines will end up in the polls next week, Robert?
Let's do a little counterpoint, Don. I personally think that Michigan will go up to number 2. Even though Kentucky and Indiana have been strong, everyone in this country knows the potential Michigan has. And by them knocking off 3 teams in 3 nights, including North Carolina and Kansas, I think it's like the wake-up call is here, and they're playing well.
And the turnover situation. Well, I'm going to say Indiana and Kentucky play well at all this weekend. The best Michigan can do is 4th place, even after the victories over Nebraska, Kentucky, and Kansas, if indeed they defeat the Jayhawks. If they do.
Point, counterpoint. Let's kiss and make up.
Sellout tonight of 7,635. All sessions, total of 34,000 people came in to watch basketball at the Rainbow Classic. New record. Howard trying to get in the record books. Can't make it, so back to Talley. Yeah, they want to use up a few ticks on the clock now, but a nasty throw by Voskuhl. Walters trying to make something happen, goes up with the right hand and does.
He goes to the hoop so well with authority and slashes. It's not like he's going straight there. You never know if he's going to go off to the left or to the right.
Jimmy King thinking about driving against Woodbury, then the lob to Mr. Weber, and good defense.
That right there
Kansas. Silly foul.
Was a fatigue foul. He didn't make the move when the ball was in front of him, and then he tried to make up for it and just made a silly foul.
Both teams with 6 team fouls. Rose coming in.
Voskuhl's not used to playing these many minutes. That's where the injury to Jackson comes in. All of a sudden now Voskuhl's like, you mean to tell me I have to play about 20 minutes tonight? I figured I'd play 5 or 10 minutes, catch some rays on the beach, and make a good weekend out of this. No, now I have to play all the time.
Trying to go backdoor was Kansas, and King was having nothing to do with it. Scott, couple of pumps, no go. Back to Scott again against Howard. Polley will take a shot with his 4 fouls wrapped around him. Back to Woodbury. Walters, Polley against Weber, down to the baseline, and they get it.
I tell you, they looked a long time at that basket. Sometimes you look long, you think wrong.
I think they're trying to find any kind of decent opening for the shot.
Well, Michigan was moving really well. They were really
that was good defense and good patient offense. Tally not so patient. Woodbury with the rebound. The lead has been cut to 8. It was 12 just a moment ago.
If Kansas scores here, I take a timeout for Michigan. You've gone from being up by 12 plus.
Polley can't do it.
So right now it's at 8.
Here comes Tally and the Wolverine.
Needs to pull it out. Pull it out.
5.5 minutes to go. Rose shaking his head. Let's set it up.
Pull it out. Hey, we're ahead by 8. 5 minutes to go. Let's play like we're ahead.
Weber backs up off the glass short. Shouldn't have backed up. Woodbury. Scott. Oh, my goodness sakes alive.
But see, that right there was the power of intimidation. How many times has Scott had trouble getting the ball up? He looks to his right. It's like, uh-oh, Chris Webber's coming.
The man.
I'm in Mr. Webber's neighborhood. By that time, it was too late. Missed the layup.
Fatigue may have had a little something to do with it. Howard against Polley with 4 fouls. Howard.
You see, Polley's sitting there. He can't do anything. He doesn't want to commit the last foul. Whoever Polley's guarding, take the ball. You got a free look at the basket. That was a travel right there. He changed pivot foot.
Walters has got to shoot a 3-pointer. Howard with a rebound, and Woodbury over the back of Kansas.
This is how you see intimidation. See the number 20, Woodbury, passes over the Scott. Look, he looks right there. He sees Webber coming, and he just completely forgot. He said, you know what? I'm 5 feet ahead of this guy. I don't care if he is coming. He can watch me dunk it.
Well, yeah, I'm just wondering if he flat out forgot the location or lost the location of the hoop. Didn't forget, couldn't remember where he was.
Tell you what, when you've had about 4 shots blocked, you will forget the location of where you are.
I'm not saying that wasn't the case, but I think plus he didn't realize how far he was under the basket. Yeah, when you got a Sherman tank coming down from behind you, you tend to pay attention and look in the rearview mirror.
And he's been handing it back to you all night long. But you know, Scott doesn't really have great leaping ability. You've noticed, even on his dunks, it's always a one-handed dunk. It's not the 2 hands, it's not a reverse, anything flashy. So he's more so a thinking man down low, trying to make the good run. He's not going to get up high in the air.
Howard very quietly has gathered 17 points tonight as Adonis Jordan scores for the Jayhawks. The lead at 9. Rose back at the foul line on the drive.
Jalen Rose is so crafty with the ball. You never know if he's going to try to just out-jump you or what. This is the replay of Adonis Jordan's drive. Look at him going to the basket, lays it up, and in. He saw an opening.
Keep up with it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's that foot speed. You know, he has the quickest pair of feet I've seen in a college athlete in a long time.
What's the old golden rule? Stop the ball. It's coming down court.
And with him, it's coming down the floor quickly.
Catch up with the ball. Rose with 18 so far with another 4 minutes, 9 seconds to go. And Steve Fisher and his assistant Perry Watson did not wear his new shirt.
He did not wear the shirt.
We'll have a 5-0 series lead on Kansas.
Perry coached Jalen Rose in high school at Detroit Southwestern, a school that's had a long tradition, going as far back as knocking my team off when we were rated #1. Detroit Southwestern is not a happy remembrance for me.
And you went to
Ann Arbor Pioneer.
Walters going against Rose, and the foul on the big guy, number 5 for Michigan.
He kills me. His little grin has such a slyness to it.
He only has 1 foul, too. And the height advantage he has over Williams starting guard Adonis Jordan. Ken Walters, for that matter, has really made a difference. Just under 4 minutes to go. It does not appear we're going to have quite the drama we had last night in that North Carolina-Michigan game. A shot, a putback by Rose at the buzzer. Won it for Michigan. While a timeout has been called here at Blaisdell Arena. And it's a 9-point lead. We'll be back. Shooting in the second half, Kansas falling way off. Remember, they were at about 50%. And Michigan has kept the pace. The key now is free throw shooting. Don't you agree for Michigan?
I tell you, at this point, if I'm Kansas, okay, my big fella Pauly has 4 fouls, so he's really handicapped at this point. But the one trump card I have is I shoot free throws as a team at about an 85% clip. So now I turn out what usually happens in the last minute of a game. Start it now. Go for the steal. If you don't have it, commit the foul. Notice Michigan comes right out, spreading the floor out into like an end of the game type 4 corners pattern. But Kansas should start fouling as quickly as they can steal. If not, stop the game with a foul and send them to the line.
Nice hustle by both Woodbury and Weber. Shot clock down to 15. Down to 10. Picked by Howard. Tally, shot clock at 2. Oh my.
That hurt. That hurt.
Eat up all 45 seconds. And just like the playbook, page 6 says, put it in at the buzzer.
See, but that's from Michigan's side. But from Kansas' side, you don't want the clock to do that. You've got to turn the clock into your favor, which is, hey, make this game as long as possible. How is he going to come down from 11 points of a deficit without getting to the line and stopping the clock?
Right you are, Mr. Elliott. 2:42 remaining in the game. The lead at 11. Still no fouls. Down to 2.5 minutes.
See, you know, if you're looking at an 11-point deficit, you're looking at anywhere from a minimum of 4 possessions to maybe as many as 6 possessions to get back in the game. And assuming that Michigan doesn't score.
Right.
Not in 2.5 minutes.
Enough to do with 2:29. You're right. Tally had a big steal down there on the other end, too. Takes the wind out of your sails as he talks it over with Mr. Fisher. So Jalen Rose goes to the line. Big weekend for him. 11 points against Nebraska, 22 the other night against UNC, and Phelps, their great point guard. And he saw quite a bit of it, too. And Williams about to send Richard Scott back in, possibly. Yes, he will.
Got to get his horse back in the game.
I like him.
Exactly.
I'd be going to him a lot more to try to match the muscle of Michigan's front line. Substitution. Scott comes in and replaces Hancock. And the muscle, just the physique of the people in there right now for Kansas, just doesn't match up well with Michigan. It's that simple.
They need a quick shot. They're going to try to spread the floor. Let Adonis try to create. Nice strong move to the basket by Pauly.
Very strong. I'm impressed by Pauly on that move against Weber.
That whole series started with Adonis Jordan. Bingo. Nice pass to Pauly. There's your nice strong move.
That is 4 fouls on Chris.
And you could tell he hates the fact that somebody went up over him and dunked it and got fouled.
Yeah, you can imagine. Wait a minute, that's my act.
You can't talk too much when somebody just dunked on you.
Nice tip.
They need a quick shot. Clock is running.
2:13 remaining. Weber with a board. Here comes Michigan.
Okay, we don't need a fast break. Pull it out.
I was going to say, hit the clutch and put it back into first. 2 minutes remaining. 11-point lead, Michigan. Now, as we see one of the Wolverines go to the line, and that is, it's 10 fouls, by the way, on Kansas. You can see Riley, pretty solid. Rose, boy, it gets lower and lower. And these are regular players.
One thing about Rose, though, he's a money player. That 71% is a little misleading. So, look, but you have a good choice in Howard, Weber, any of those. Foul and let him go to the line, especially Weber, because that's his season percentage. But here in this tournament, it's been Brick City.
Good night for Rose. Matches his other performance of 22 last night.
He's a money man. You get him to the line, game's on the line. Say, I get 2 shots? No. we just scored 2 points.
And Roy Williams is finding out what he needed to know as they go in to begin Big 8 conference play. They didn't have the strongest schedule in the early season other than playing Indiana. Now he's getting a lot of questions answered.
He knows that Ostertag better get back from being hurt, because he needs that 7'2" kid in the middle.
Yeah, they need the Ostertag, all 7'2" of him. Timeout trying to be called by Jordan.
They waited too late.
Michigan able to get the ball into play.
Not only did they miss the timeout call, now they're letting the clock run down as Michigan's coming down the floor. They need to press.
Not the best pass in the world by Rose when they're trying to eat up the
now
clock.
A timeout.
Pearson with the lay-in, and they get the timeout with 1:28 to go. A 65-74 game, and will return in a moment. If you're in Detroit, Ann Arbor, anywhere in Michigan, and you're still watching this game, our hat's off to you. We just figured, what is it, about 3:15 back there in the morning.
3:15 a.m.
It is 10:15 p.m. out here, Honolulu time. I'm Don Poyer, along with Detroit product, Ann Arbor product.
Ann Arbor product.
Bob Elliott. And a resident of Tucson, Arizona. After his golden years playing for the Wildcats of Arizona and the NBA. Minute 27 left, Detroit. And Michigan able to keep the ball and get 2 more points as King rolls it up with both hands.
You know, sometimes the ball just doesn't go your way. Kansas had a chance for the steal. They don't get it, don't get the basket, and Michigan goes down, converts.
Scott is able to draw the foul on the rebound off Jordan's drive. And that may be it for Weber.
Scott is a horse.
On him, that's 5.
Yep, Scott is a horse down low. He's your blue-collar worker.
Right.
Really gets after it.
Chris Weber is done for the night with 16 points. And they know they're going home with another watch. They're going home with a watch and a trophy. And a standing O. Several Michigan and Kansas fans making the trip for this tournament. Gotta wonder if he'll be, as Bob Elliott said, maybe one of the 1, 2, or 3 top picks in the NBA if he chooses to go on next year.
Very talented young man right there. Can play inside, outside, strength game, as well as a finesse game. Rare combination.
And he's young.
He's young.
Only a sophomore, as the entire world knows.
Watch his free throw. Hey, go ahead, Scott. That's a rare case for him. One thing he could do is to aim for the front of the rim. That's what I tell my kids in the camp. At least if you hit the front of the rim, you have a chance because it might roll around. But some of his shots have been long, so that the 15 feet is turning into 15 and a half. That's 2 in a row.
Mark Wilson, our producer, pointing out that 3 undefeated teams came in here and they're going away with 1 or 2 losses. North Carolina was undefeated, Kansas was undefeated, and Nebraska was undefeated.
Ooh, did he get up in the air to catch that?
He certainly did. And guess who beat all 3 of those undefeated teams?
University of Michigan.
You got it.
It's been a great tournament for them. I mean, you go from playing number 17 Nebraska to number 5 North Carolina to number 2 Kansas and wipe all 3 of them out, probably.
What do you mean wipe them out? They went 1 by 1 against North Carolina.
But they all show up the same.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
W's.
I'm more impressed with the fact is they're not. This is going to really hurt Kansas. They're going to topple in a hurry, losing this big to Michigan. North Carolina's not going to suffer that much. They lose by 1 on a neutral court, a long way from home.
Yes. I'm kind of surprised that Michigan could actually play this good of a game for 40 minutes after last night's game. Because, you know, one thing about last night's game, it was so emotional that there's no way that those Michigan players could have fallen asleep before 2 or 3 in the morning. And then come back right now and play again tonight.
Probably woke up at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Roy Williams just not finding that firepower outside that he needed in order to counterbalance the muscle of Michigan inside.
They didn't have it inside nor outside, and that's why right now they're down 11.
with exactly 1 minute to go, and these teams will all head home more than likely tomorrow. Kansas Jayhawks, though, they came out of here with a football victory in the Aloha Bowl, beating BYU by 3 points and winning 2 out of 3 in their basketball team. And Roy Williams, who came out early so he could watch the football game, he and his staff. Then the team came out actually on Christmas Day. Michigan, of course, they've got a date with the Washington Huskies in the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day. A lot of basketball teams here that have football teams in bowl games. The three-pointer by Woodbury, cutting the lead to 9 with 51.5 seconds to go. Timeout. Back in a minute. There's the storyline. Time remaining and a 9-point lead for Michigan. They have led throughout this contest. Biggest lead, a dozen. Kansas cut it down to 5 at one point, and now it's back up to 9, and it has been a case of trading baskets for the last few minutes. But a three-pointer hit by Woodbury, and a little bit of life there for the Jayhawks. Rob Pelinka with the ball and the foul by Woodbury. We want to alert our affiliates along the line. We will be taking a 1-minute break, at the conclusion of this game. Fifth foul on Steve Woodbury, who will have a very, very good season, I am sure, for the Jayhawks in Big 8 conference play. Woodbury finishes the game with 12 points. And again, as the sixth man. Scott sitting down for the night as Pearson comes back in. And you know that Kansas will be there come the 1st of March. More like about the 15th of March, but you get my drift.
You know, Don, this Michigan team is really scary because they seem to always play to the level of whoever they're playing against. And they're showing today that no matter who comes out against them, they have the weapons to always come away with a W.
The finger roll by Jordan and the rebound by Howard, and that's going to be 5 for Eric Pauley. Pauley will finish the night with 9 points. It's been a tough night for him. And we anticipated a real challenge for Eric against the front line of Michigan tonight. Patrick Ritchie comes in for him.
You know, playing against Michigan, you better come prepared to play a little Monopoly because they have Boardwalk and Park Place sitting down low. Juwan Howard and Chris Webber.
And part of the game's on the line as Howard shoots. Howard has 18 points. Got a season high of 21. He may be able to knock that off before it's over with 38 seconds remaining. Down it goes. It's all but over with Patrick Ritchie to Pearson. They needed that. Ritchie with the attempted tip, and does get the putback with 25 seconds remaining and a 10-point Michigan lead.
Kansas called timeout just to stop the clock. But Roy Williams said, hey, I don't need to come talk to the guys. I just need to stop the clock.
Right.
Let them keep playing.
We will not huddle up. The option of the head coach. Ball inbounded, Pelinka, and he is fouled by Pearson. 2 clicks of the clock went by, so there are 23 seconds remaining.
Now they burned their last time out, so that option is no longer available to them.
All they can do is hack away now.
Yep, hack, hack, smack, smack.
And Pelinka is the man who shoots below 50% from the free throw line, about 38% coming into the game. Gotta just take a jump shot.
He's knocking that down like he believes in himself. Guess it's a little easier when you're up by 8 or 9 points. Pressure's not there the same.
It'll be interesting to see on January 2nd when the Wolverines play Eastern Michigan. Will they play at the level of their competition? Will they keep it up there where they've been with the momentum they've gained over this tournament? Hancock with the left hand. We want to mention Chris Webber was named the MVP of the tournament here at the Rainbow Classic, and Rose with the punctuation. As this one is all but history. Pearson will try the last shot. It's over. As Michigan extends its run of 5-0 against Kansas in the all-time series, and there is your MVP, Chris Webber. As Steve Fisher gets the victory and the tournament championship. We've just been given the all-tournament team. Jalen Rose of Michigan, Eric Montross of North Carolina, Lindsey Hunter of Jackson State, Eric Pauley of Kansas, and Lynch of North Carolina, the forward. And again, Chris Webber has been named the MVP. Our congratulations to Michigan and their Kraft Rainbow Classic Championship. We'll wrap things up after this 1-minute timeout. Time now for our GMC Truck Play of the Game. Bob Elliott.
You know, this is basketball the way it's supposed to be played. Rose has the ball. Howard's going to pop out. He gets the pass. The guard Talley's coming around. They do a pick and roll. You see, there's the pick. Here's your roll. Kansas moves over to Howard. He passes over to Webber. And Webber, the MVP of the tournament, brings it home the way it's supposed to be brought.
And that was our GMC Truck Play of the Game, where Michigan defeats who they beat again? Kansas, by the score of 86-74. Number 6 Michigan over number 2 the Jayhawks. And the question now, where will the polls come out? Not that they're that critical at this early stage of the season, but you got to wonder what will happen. From here, Kansas, they go home. They'll host Wichita State, get into Big 8 play. Michigan goes home January 2nd. They play Eastern Michigan, Bob, and then they get into Big 10 play against Purdue, Wisconsin, Indiana, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Final comments from you, sir.
I tell you, Don, I have really been impressed by Michigan. They came in, they had a large task in front of them. 3 games, 3 nights, 3 top 20 teams, and they knocked all 3 of them off. I think they have sent the message that they wanted to send, which is we are an excellent team, and we have one prize that we're looking at. That's number 1 in the nation, and take away the championship in the end.
All right, Robert, thanks for joining me as usual. I'll see you down the Pac-10 road next week, as a matter of fact.
All right.
That's it from Honolulu. Once again, the final score, Michigan defeating Kansas 86-74. For Bob Elliott, I'm Don Poyer. Good night, everybody. The 1992 Rainbow Classic on Prime Network has been brought to you by GMC Truck, the strength of experience.